Hello, it's Holly Rustick here with Grant Writing and Funding, and I'm super excited to help you grow capacity, increase funding, and to advance mission. Now, that might be the mission of the nonprofit that you are currently working at, or if you're a nonprofit consultant, the many missions of the nonprofits you work with. On the show today, I have back on the show are continuing this nonprofit consulting series with Mandy, Pearce, and we also have Mazarine and Treyz. So welcome back to the Grant Writing and Funding podcast, you guys.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm super excited to have you guys back on. And we're going to be talking about actually a conference that we're putting on, and we're going to touch on that, but we're also going to be talking about job opportunities with nonprofit consultants. And even if you're already in this space, we're going to be mentioning, how it is time to really, leverage your experience already to be able to get more jobs and to increase your cash flow and job security. So this is going to be really exciting. And of course, we're going to touch on the nonprofit consulting conference, and that is presented by Founded Technologies, and we're really excited. That's August 25th and 26th that we are working on that, and we're so excited. So we'll have all the information in the show notes as we have so much going on, because if you love what you hear today, you are definitely going to want to sign up for that 2-day virtual conference and get all of the goodies and really process through how to grow and your business, your nonprofit consultancy, and to start securing the kind of clients that you want and this type of lifestyle that you really want to live. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and welcome once again, Mazarine. I want to start with you first today. I wanted to say thank you for coming. And if you guys don't know Mazarine, she is definitely a wild woman fundraising. She has been working with consultants, thousands of consultants, to help them build up their ability to ask for more, to work in conditions that they actually want to work in. And she has many different resources. So welcome, Mazarine.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes. And then, of course, we have Mandy, Pearce with Funding for Good. And you have more than 2 decades of experience with working with nonprofits, helping strategic planning, grant writing, and so much more. So definitely a forerunner in the webinars online that you've been doing now for a long time, way before COVID, and have been in the others. So welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. So I just want to go ahead and kick off the door that opened to this whole thing. Now, we've talked about the Great Resignation a little bit before on grant writing and funding. We really talked about how it's more of the great redistribution, right? How people are going from one place to another, and there's a lot of lateral movement. There's also movements up the ladder into just totally not that ladder. I don't want a ladder. I want to swim, right? Totally different even industries. So what is the opportunity here? Let's go ahead and Mazarine, can you talk on this? The opportunity, so somebody's thinking about becoming a nonprofit consultant or already are one, what is their opportunity based in this Great Resignation kind of, era that we're in?
Well, this is the reason I did my nonprofit career conference in March of this year. And I did it again for the first time since 2018 because of the Great Resignation. And I talked to several recruiters who also spoke at the conference. And one of the things they said that they were seeing is that if people quit right now, they can get 10 to 15% more in salary at their new job. So that's an opportunity they have because it's really hard to find good help these days. And the reason that it is, the reason why no one wants to work anymore, that's not true. We're just tired of, the pandemic's making us realize we're tired of the treatment we've been getting, and we're not willing to commute, 2 hours each way anymore. We're not willing to give our all for the cause and have, our passion exploited. But for Black women in particular, New York Times had an article about how Black women had been experiencing so many microaggressions at work. It's been a really wonderful thing for Black women to stay home and not have as many of those. And so if you've been experiencing, microaggressions at work, it's nice because you can just shut your Zoom and then you're back in your house, So there's so many opportunities for people who are ready to go out on their own. I actually interviewed April Walker about this on my podcast several weeks ago about how she said, I'm a casualty of the Great Resignation and I didn't want to be in a toxic workplace culture anymore. So nonprofits have an opportunity now to improve their workplace cultures. But if you're in a place where you feel like, I don't think that's going to happen, or the whole system is broken, burn it all down, then maybe you're going to want to just explore the opportunity to consult, because if wages are stagnating in some ways where you currently are, and you can name your own wage when you're a consultant, this will be a way for you to take advantage of this time. And if we have so many open jobs, then it's really a chance for nonprofits to hire qualified consultants and pay you what you actually feel like you deserve.
Right, right. And thank you for that. Thank you for touching on that. And I love that, you know, you're kind of looking at there has been a lot of disparity, and there's been a lot of different things that people just felt like they couldn't quit. They couldn't, you know, they couldn't even consider working in a different way. And now through the pandemic, we have all realized that we can work in different ways. There are choices. There are, you know, we don't want to give it all to a cause that maybe we don't even agree with, but it's paying the bills, right? So there's a lot more flexibility, and we have seen people either, you know, leave the 8 to 5 kind of jobs and become consultants, because during this time they've just had to manage it. They've got kids home during the pandemic, and they have to, you know, help with that. They just cannot show up physically to a job. So there's been a lot of different reasons. That's just one example. But Mandy, can you kind of talk about this too? Because I know you also have a lot of research that backs up, you know, and some data that really provides some numbers behind why people may quit. And also just like in general, the sheer number of jobs that are open for the nonprofit sector right now.
Yeah. Recently, there were some statistics that came out that said there were 500,000 plus jobs open in the nonprofit sector. I anticipate that number has gone up, but I haven't seen any current data to show that yet. And a lot of the reasons behind that are some nonprofits cannot compete with the for-profits as far as signing bonuses or incentives to work or benefits in general. And one of my personal beliefs as a consultant and someone who worked in the nonprofit my whole life is, until nonprofits start running more like businesses, because tax status is nonprofit, but that's not your business model, then that's going to continue to be a problem. And nonprofits always have those crazy phrases like, we run on a shoestring budget, which is the craziest thing ever, or we have balanced budgets, which is also insane. And so until they start really joining the world of, you are a business, the Small Business Administration considers you a business, and run like one, then it's going to be really hard for you to attract people, because your competitors can offer them so much more. And part of that competitor now is the nonprofit consultant, right? Because that's a for-profit business, and those people are serving you, but a lot of them have had the experience of working for you, and they don't want to work for you anymore. They want to work with you, and they want to help you get to that next level. So, you know, a lot of consultants want to be your educator. They want to help you build resources and systems. They don't want to be your employee for life. So they're not looking to work with you for 20 years. They're looking to help you solve problems, and hopefully the sector as a whole will start solving some of those problems so they can get staff back at some point. But in the meantime, it's opening up a lot of opportunities for consultants. It's opening up a lot of positions for consulting. It's opening up a lot of need for consultants. And so you guys need to come to the conference so you can learn how to do it really well. And if you're already doing it, so you can learn how to grow it and be more impactful and have the business that you really dream about having.
Yeah. I love that. I loved it. You're really marking this. These are the opportunities, right? Mazarine's clapping up because there's definitely a lot of different opportunities that are out there. And also for the nonprofit, like you mentioned, to run like a business. So, you know, having consultants, I always say, is a good thing, actually. Sometimes that's actually preferred than employees. If you're operating on grants where, you know, there was only limited funding, if you have to get an employee, that's going to go past that grant funding. You know what I mean? That those are going to be longer term cash flow situations. And just, you got to have an office for that person, pay for the computer. With a consultant, you don't, right? You have deliverables, and they work out of their house or wherever they're going to work out of, not out of your business at your nonprofit. So there's a lot of benefits. So did any of you want to talk about some of those benefits of why nonprofits may even consider hiring consultants versus staff?
Well, I went first last time. Mandy, would you like to go?
Well, so I think that the three of us are a prime example of why people may want to choose consultants, and why they should, and why as a consultant you can be so impactful. I have a client who says, Mandy, we don't hire you because you're the expert at everything. We hire you because you know the resources to answer the questions we have, even if you're not the one that can answer them. And when you partner effectively, you can offer so much to your clients, right? You don't have to be the expert at everything in fundraising. You could be the expert or the generalist at a lot of things as a nonprofit consultant, and then you could hire the expert at direct mail to help you with this one thing. Shout out to Erica Wasdorf, because that's what she does. I partner with her to work with my clients. I'm like, we do an audit for my clients, please, because I'm good at it, but I'm not the expert, and I can admit that. There may be things that you're an expert at that I want to partner with you on that it's a added bonus to my clients. It brings in revenue to you. We partner, whatever. The more consultants that you partner with, the bigger your business will get. A lot of people are like, ooh, but that's competition. It is not. There is more work out there than any one of us can do by ourselves. There's more work out there than the three of us can do together. So, you know, that is the beauty of the work that we can and that we are doing, is that we can partner, and we do not have to be the expert of everything nonprofit to be of value to those that we're serving.
I love that. And I love that. Be the one who gets the information. And that's what a lot of nonprofits want to hire you for. Like, even if you don't know it, you're going to find it out and you're going to do the work. You're going to be self-driven to be able to do that. Whereas a staff might just be like, I just don't know and find out the information, right? That's not in my job
training class. And then I'm going to leave, and then I'm going to take that knowledge with me. And then you're going to have to train another person when they come back. Yes. That's awful.
So a lot of benefits for nonprofits to work with consultants, but also consultants to work with one another. Mazarine, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, definitely. I'm a big proponent of people partnering with others, just for the very same reason that Mandy said. One of my friends, Kishana Palmer, is a leadership expert, and I just love sending executive directors to her when they have issues with management and leadership and the difference between the two. And I mean, she's also a board source certified, board trainer as well. I'm not. She's a CFRE. I don't. So if people want that, I love giving business to other consultants. And that's one of the very best ways there is to get business is referrals. And so I have to say that because of the Puritan nature of North America, there's a reason why we trust Mark Zuckerberg to fix New York's public schools, and why we trust Bill Gates to fix malaria in Africa. And it's because in the Puritan belief system, which is kind of what the nonprofit system is based on, the people who have money are the elect, and everybody else below them is, they're really smart, and everyone else below them is stupid. And so even if you've worked at a nonprofit a long time and you have tons of experience and you know what's going on, a lot of times what happens in nonprofits is that the staff will be just screaming, this is what's wrong, and yet leadership can't hear it until a consultant comes in and says it. Oh my God. I've seen this over and over again, right?
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so, like, if you are a staff person listening to this and you're like, gosh, I don't really want to be a consultant, but I really need someone to say what I've been saying, hire us. We'll come in and say what you've been saying, and they can pay $500 an hour or whatever to have us say it. Like they should pay if they don't want to listen to you, you know?
Yeah.
But the thing that's frustrating is when you get hired as the expert to work for someone, and then because you become a staff person, they're like, oh, we don't listen to you anymore. Happened to the person that I work with 24/7, my lead consultant. She used to have to hire me to come in when she was an executive director through Funding for Good to tell them the stuff that she already knew because they weren't listening to her. And I'm like, that is the most backward thing in the world. But it is exactly how it is across the country in nonprofits. We've experienced it forever. And I'm sure if you're a consultant, you have too. Or if you're a staff person, you've experienced that.
It's baked into our system. It's baked into our system. And so that's why we have a great reset that we can do. And we're showing you the secret sauce right here. Like, we don't have to say new stuff. We just have to say what you're saying and charge them more,
Yeah. Being a sounding board, listening and saying, oh, here it is. And you guys are both so right. I think we've all experienced this where it's like going in and, if you have someone from the staff already telling you what the issues are, but they want to hear it from you before they're going to, especially the board, before they're going to do any changes. And it's just because you have a consultant, like it's so interesting, but definitely, there's a lot for consultants to get out there right now and to be able to access, nonprofits and to be able to help them as well with those types of issues, but also, just to be able to set up a business that's sustainable, right? So if we're looking now, there is a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of job openings, as Mandy had mentioned, in the nonprofit sector, but they don't necessarily need to be filled with employees. They can be filled by consultants doing expertise and doing different specific work. And that may actually help the business model of the nonprofit, right? So definitely the thing is I see a lot, and I wanted to have you guys kind of touch on this and get your feedback from it, is when nonprofit consultants, they may be exiting from a full-time job, full-time position at a nonprofit, they go into their business and they think, how much do I charge? Well, I was making $40 an hour there. So I guess I'll make $40 an hour. That's what I'm going to charge out here because that's what I was getting paid there. Can you guys kind of talk about that? And Mazarine, did you want to go first? Mazarine, you want to go first?
Well, okay, Mandy's going to actually have a whole session about this, so I really want to hear what Mandy has to say. But I'll just say briefly that I adore helping people with this problem, and we're going to have a session about asking for more and mindset, money mindset. We're going to go through exercises, but in the last couple of years, I've helped different consultants, some with many years of experience, some people who are just starting out, go from, I don't know if I can charge $50 an hour to go to, absolutely, I'll charge $350 an hour, and then having waiting lists of clients. And then grant rating consultants who are just doubling, tripling their rates, being like, yeah, I still have a waiting list of clients. So if you think that for whatever reason, you cannot charge more because you're only making $20 an hour at your last job, I'm here to tell you that's something that we can shift together at the conference. Yes. Mandy, I'd love to hear your perspective.
I second that, or third that if Holly just seconded it. So, one of the things that I get into with folks is figuring out how to charge for a service. And that really gets into how much time does it take to do it? What are the resources that you need in order to make it happen? What are you actually investing in providing the service? Because a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'm just spending an hour with them on the phone and I can't charge $350 an hour. And I'm like, how much time did you spend prepping it? Did you pay for software that helped you prep it? Did you follow up with them? Did you create a system on your website for them to fill out an intake form? And who are you paying to do that? And how much does your website cost? And blah, blah, blah. Like there's 1,000 things, right? So you can't just charge.
You're admin.
You're
a web person.
Right. My husband is not a consultant, right? He is a custom woodworker and he has a lawn care business. And so when he quit his jobs full-time 5 years ago, when we started this, I had to go through this with him every time we were going to charge somebody. He was like, nobody's going to pay me $25 an hour to mow their grass. And I'm like, baby, people pay you a whole lot more than $25 an hour to mow their grass. Now he's up to like way more than that because he's like, oh my God, I have to fix my mowers and put gas in them. And I have to buy a trailer and I have to put gas in my truck. And then I have to drive there. And that's time there and time back that I'm not getting paid by anybody else. And then I have to buy the weed eater wire to trim the grass. I mean, it's like all these things that he never thought about. And he's like, if I just charge $25 an hour, I'm losing money. Like, yeah, really? So if you don't believe us, when you start doing it, this is what's going to happen. You're going to charge what you feel comfortable with. And then you're going to be exhausted and burnt out. And you're going to be like, I don't understand why I'm not making any money. And then you're going to be like, maybe I should charge a little more. And then you're going to get much more comfortable with it. And I'm going to give you some real life examples of things I did in my business and how I went from charging $150 for grant research to $1,200 and didn't blink an eyelash. Of course, it was a process. It didn't happen overnight, but it's totally worth it, right? And that's a pretty big increase. It happened over a couple of years, but still, it's totally valid. And so we're going to make you feel much better about charging more. And Mazarine, much like you, I have clients come to me and like, I might be able to charge $50 an hour. And I'm like, we're going to get you way past that. And folks kind of start to see like, you're paying for your taxes. You don't have to be doing that for you now. So you're going to have to like include that in your pricing. You're paying for your insurance now. You're paying for your healthcare, whatever those things are. So you have to be making enough to do that. And when you work for someone else, you don't have to think about that quite so much. So there's a lot of pieces to that puzzle, but I feel confident that between the three of us and all of our other speakers, we're going to get you there.
That's right. I love that. I love that process too, because that's the thing too. When clients of mine, they start breaking it down, right? And they're like, oh, and then I got to put aside for profit.
Right.
And my health insurance and other things, and like this office that I'm working on my house in. And, it's like, yeah. So, and it's also a part of educating the nonprofit about that too, because they're like, well, they pushed back and they said that was too much or whatever, you get those sometimes. You're like, well, they don't really understand. So we also have to educate, right? So I think that's a part of it too, is if you have to understand it in order to educate too. So
that doesn't mean you have to tell them what the price is an hour or how you came up with that. You just have to say, look, there are a lot of components that go into doing this work. And it's not just the 1 hour that I spent with you in person. And if you don't want to pay that, that's great. If you find another consultant that's willing to do that, fabulous. I think Mark Twain's the one that said, an expert is an ordinary fellow from another town. So most of the time, the people in your town are hiring people from other places. I don't get people around here hiring me to do stuff locally, but I have people in Alaska paying me to come there to do strategic planning. That's just the way that this consulting world seems to work.
It's true. If you're around all the time, they take you for granted, and it's sad, but I have so many East Coast clients and I'm here on the West Coast. I mean, the West Coast.
I'm the opposite. I have so many West Coast clients. Yeah,
yes.
Same reason.
Yep. Yep.
Great.
I would love to have people in town. Maybe I'll look at that at some point. But, you know, in the meantime, it's a cognitive bias that we have, right? Somebody from far away seems like they know more. And they have the secret knowledge that people in your organization don't have. And they've studied something different and you just want their expertise. So we'll be talking about that at the conference. Like, how do you market yourself and set yourself apart? Because we all have different things. On top of that, you know, going back to like the fact you're paying your taxes, we're going to have somebody talking about how to do the accounting and what to write off so that you know right away how to do your taxes even better as a consultant. So I'm excited about that too.
Yeah, I really love that because it's so important to look at, you know, a lot of the things that we're talking about it's growing personally, it's growing in your confidence, it's understanding, right? But there's also practical things like Mandy was talking about, like here, you know, you got to figure out how much do things cost, right? To really understand what your price is as well. So it's really good to have those tangibles and intangibles to couple together to really understand, how do I run a business? So with this, and, you know, and talking about the Great Resignation, I mean, you know, it's also about the inflation that's going on right now. So, you know, really looking at, there's a lot that we can do as far as moving from job to job, from a job into consultant role, et cetera. So even some nonprofit consultants are like, you know what, I'm ready to go back to full-time. And now they're actually paying more. So I'm happy to go back. So there's a lot of flexibility right now. And it really goes back to what are your goals, what are your vision, et cetera. So thank you, ladies, for being on the podcast today and talking about this really you know, discussion that's just, it's very contemporary, right? It's on everybody's mind, what's going on with the job market. And there's a lot of different benefits that you can get from it. So if you guys want more information, once again, check out nonprofitconsultingconference.com. And that is a nonprofit consulting conference presented by Founded Technologies. Presented by Founded Technologies. We're really excited about the conference on August 25th and 26th. So before I close out today, any more words that you'd like to add to this?
Can't wait to see you there. Get in now. The price is going up.
Exactly. We look forward to meeting all of you and helping you grow your businesses.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you, ladies.